In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can change your limiting beliefs. No matter what it is you believe to be true, that is how you experience the world because of perception, meaning that you won't be able to literally see anything other than what aligns with your beliefs, even if those beliefs limit you from the experiences you really want to have. Beliefs are nothing more than a strong opinion. Because you had an experience, most likely when you were a little kid from birth to 7 years old, you had an experience and you put a meaning or a label as to why that happened or who you are because that happened. Now, the powerful thing to understand is that you can change your belief by shifting your perspective. When you change the way you see what happened, it will change what you can see in your world. So let me show you the power of perspective. So in this picture, I want you right now to comment what image you see. Leave it in the comments. Now, I want you to look at this picture a little bit longer. Is there anything else you can see? I'll reveal now what I saw. The first thing I saw when I saw this image was actually two faces. All right, so you got the forehead, the nose, the mouth, and the chin. The other side, there's the nose, the mouth, and the chin for the two faces. Now, because I knew it was an illusion and there was another picture, I stared at it longer, and as I did, I actually saw a vase. But as you can see, this one still image can actually have two different experiences. This is the same that can happen when it comes to your belief. Because shifting your beliefs is not about changing what happened to you, it's about changing how that event is affecting you today. Now that you understand that beliefs are changeable, they're nothing more than a strong opinion and they're not universal facts. Let's dive into how you can change your limiting beliefs. The first thing you can do is to name them. Now, this might sound really simple. You're like, yeah, I know. I can't do anything. Nothing good ever happens to me. Everyone always rejects me. Now, those are experiences or symptoms of the limiting belief, but that is not the limiting belief. So one thing I encourage you to do is think about patterns in your life. Now, we're not going to live in them and repeat them to ruminate, but I want you to try to take a bird's eye view. If you're like me and you continue to get rejected, well, you don't have a belief that you always get rejected. You have a belief that you're not good enough. Therefore, you always get rejected. Maybe you continue to experience a lot of lack and there's a lot of struggle when it comes to money. You could think, oh, I never have what I need. But underneath that is, I'm not good enough to have my needs met, to have the resources. So the more you explore on what that limiting belief is, and therefore you can understand the symptoms or the experiences that are being reflected back, but getting clear on what it is you believe to be true about yourself is the first step. What has helped change my life the most and helped me change my limiting beliefs is understanding the roots of where they were formed. As you were not born with this limiting belief, there was an experience that happened, and when you were a little kid, before you had the ability to reason, as your brain was still developing, you put a meaning or a label why that thing happened. Now, this could look a lot of different ways. It could have been a very chaotic and abusive dynamic early on, or it could have been more silent and more what didn't happen. So to give you an example, maybe growing up, this adult caretaker, maybe they were really, really busy and they showed you affection and they said they loved you, but they were just so busy. No matter what they did, they were always running around between work and their responsibilities and getting all the stuff that's necessary. There was just never enough time for you. And if you had a cup of what you needed when you were a kid, maybe it just got filled right to there. So yes, you got some attention and some affection and some connection, but it didn't fill your cup and it didn't meet your need, the very real emotional need for development that you had, created a distortion of how you see yourself. Because this dynamic happened, and most likely it got repeated, it created a relational trauma. So you could think, oh, I'm not enough. If I was enough, my caregiver would have connected with me. And maybe you thought there's something wrong with you. You saw your caregiver and they were connecting with other people liked them, but when it came to you, you always needed more. You wanted more. And maybe when you did reach out and you said, hey, mom or dad or whoever it was that was raising you, can we play cards or look at this, look what I painted or made. And they were like, yeah, I don't have time for that. Not right now. Can't you see I'm trying to do something important? And you could have felt shame, like, oh, something's wrong with me. I am bad for wanting to connect here. So you could have thought, okay, when I do that, I'm too much. I need to constantly check in to see if I'm okay, because this dynamic meant safety for you. It's vital that you understand that. But what you got to see is not relive this experience. This energy is stamped into your subconscious, but it's not the truth of yourself. So you could repeat this with money. You could be working really hard and barely get your needs met and feel not good enough and that you're too much, because you're still echoing this, because you need to heal it. So to do that is to see it. This is adult you now. And it's to look at this dynamic through your adult mind. Now that you have the complex reasoning, the ability to see things, and all the wisdom that you have experienced since this time, you can see this dynamic and say, oh, okay, the caregiver actually lacked the emotional capacity. It wasn't anything you did. They didn't have the skills. We're not saying they're a bad person. They did the best they could. But the limitation in this and you getting your needs met was not you. It was not something you did bad. Having your need is not too much. You are more than good enough to have connection with other people. And when you can start to see this and release the guilt or shame that you feel of anything you did wrong or bad, it can allow you to start seeing, I can see that I've been judging and holding myself to how this person saw me, because back here, it was vital to my survival, but now it's actually limiting me from experiencing the things I really want. There's a reason that you have a desire to experience that abundance, to have that loving, secure relationship. But if you continue to live through this dynamic, that you're waiting for somebody else's approval, validation, or permission, so they see you as good enough, then you move on. You're repeating this, and you can have a lot of grief, you can have a lot of sadness that this person did not have that ability. But it wasn't because of anything you lacked, anything that you did wrong, or anything that you don't have. You were always good enough. They lacked that emotional capacity, the emotional skills, or just the emotional intelligence to understand this and see you. Doesn't make them bad, you don't have to blame them, but when you see it with your adult eyes, you can actually start to dissolve the idea of the root system. Oh, I'm not good enough because they didn't get, they actually didn't have the skills. They didn't know everything is the best in the world. They did the best they could, and I needed more. And it's okay, I needed more. I didn't have the environment that emotionally was at the level of what I needed. It was not my fault. Seeing this differently can start to radically dissolve your limiting beliefs right now. All right, so the next thing you can do is, now that you're understanding, okay, I see my limiting beliefs, I understand that why I was thinking that is not true. Now you got to start being aware in the moment, minding the gap. This would happen to me with romantic relationships. I started liking somebody. Maybe we had actually been dating, but then they go out and then they don't text me. And then my anxiety starts going up. Oh no, and I start to assume maybe they met somebody else. Maybe something really bad happened to them. Maybe they're not interested in me. Maybe they're gonna leave me. And I started all of it was anticipating I would be abandoned. What was that doing? It was inserting that early on dynamic of not having my emotional connection, that something was gonna happen outside my control and something gonna happen and take away that relationship. So what was I perpetuating? My limiting belief. So to break that cycle, you've got to be aware in the present moment. So maybe you start to feel your body getting really tense. Maybe you start to feel a lot of anxiety or fear. Okay, you got to check in with your body. Okay, something's happening. Oh, okay. I'm actually starting to self-reject, because assuming someone's going to leave me is actually me abandoning myself first. Okay, I got to be aware of it. That's why it's important to name it, like step 1. 2, okay, I got to start breathing. I got to regulate my nervous system. Really easy thing you can do to start tapping in, to shift your body out of the fight or flight reaction, is to Voo. And what we're doing there is stimulating your vagus nerve, which helps to send information to your brain that, hey, everything's okay, we're not in danger. Okay, now that you're starting to bring yourself to the present moment, you tap into the power of neural plasticity, which is to say, oh, actually, I don't know, maybe their phone died, maybe they dropped their phone and it broke, maybe they just needed a little time and space. I'm not going to assume it's something I did wrong, because when I do that, I repeat that old pattern. If you remember that as a kid, you're like, oh no, I did something to cause this person to not want to connect with me. So I've got to be present in this moment to say, oh no, I'm good. I know that I'm good enough. I know that I'm whole and complete. I know that I'm worthy. So I'm going to start tapping into, I'm going to go do my duty, which is how can I take care of myself in this moment? What do I need? Okay, I'm going to go have some fun. Maybe I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to breathe and I'm going to stay in my body and I'm going to let my body know that it's safe. And every time you do this, you're going to form different neurological connections. And over time, the more you fire together those connections, the more you wire them in, and the less you do the old limiting assumptions that everyone's going to leave you, that you're in danger, that the connection's going to go, the less that those are together. So they'll actually prune apart. So this becomes the stronger pathway for your brain, and that's also what you'll be able to perceive of. And the next thing to understand is that it's important to learn new things and take in these new concepts. Your brain is learning, it's forming those new connections, it's seeing the world through a different way. But ultimately, we get in life a reflection of who we are being. Dr. Joe Dispenza says we get a reflection of our electromagnetic signature, our thoughts and our feelings. Well, our body, our subconscious, the way that it learns, just like your mind is learning through repetition through these videos, your body learns through experiences. So in order to start shifting out of those limiting beliefs, that old pre-existing set point of how you see yourself, it's important for you to start acting in the world in a new way. This isn't to say to go out and do something that gives you like a level 9 out of 10 anxiety or fear, but how can you start acting and being and taking action in the world in a way that is different, just slightly outside of that set point, so your body can start having new experiences that align with those new expanding beliefs. The more you do this, the more your body literally is feeling like it is safe to be that way in the world. The more you do this, you create that momentum, creating disconfirming experiences of the past. Start seeing that those previous ideas you held of yourself were not true. You had them based on experiences, and as you have new experiences, you can shift your belief. You can shift your opinion of who you are, what you deserve, and how you should be treated. So I encourage you to think of something. Maybe it's going to a free event. Maybe it's going to a concert. Maybe it's saying hi to a stranger. It doesn't have to be romantic. It can be platonic. Something that gives you about a 2 or 3 level of, ooh, that's a little bit nerve-wracking. I don't know, it makes me nervous. I'm a little excited, but I'm uncomfortable. How can you start stepping into the unknown? Because in the unknown is the expanding beliefs that you need to have to experience the reflection back to you of that state of being. You are whole, you are complete, you are worthy of this. The more you can change your own mind by releasing that old perspective of yourself, the more you will rise to your natural expression and get a reflection of that back. The subconscious is a vital part of this entire experience. The more you learn to speak to it, the easier the experience for it to shift to those new expanding beliefs. This next video right here is going to show you exactly how you can start to speak to your subconscious and let go of those limiting beliefs.